Hello and welcome back to Healing's Vibrations. And this is the broadcast where we aim to change perspective of illness to see it as a gift. And this is episode 17. And I'm really excited to be joined today by Daiana, who is somebody else who is living with multiple sclerosis and is also called to share maybe a different take on what it is like. So she has started her own YouTube channel. So Daiana, tell us more about your YouTube channel and you.
Hi, well, thank you very much for having me on your show.
Thank you.
I have never done this before, so it's very odd to be totally honest. Um,
Just talk.
I
Just
know
pretend there's not thousands of people listening to us. It's fine.
yeah, it is very very weird. Like, as long at least if we would be actually face to face, but right now with everything that's going on, but at least I'm really happy that we can actually do this because like I told you when we were talking on the phone, I'm in Spain, you're in UK, and this maybe would have not happened if all this has not happened.
Yeah. So
So
there's a gift in everything, isn't there?
it
Really?
is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like to look at the positive things, especially with all this problem that has been in the past 2 years. For me, it wasn't that much because I prefer not to look at it that way. Maybe because I have MS, I'm just used to it. To whenever something negative comes, to actually look at positive and like it's not that big of a deal when it comes to me, myself, my family, everything that's surrounding me. If nothing has happened, then I don't want to let it bring me down. You know,
So,
just like with the news, I don't quite like watching them because of this reason.
yeah, I know. I also don't watch the news at all. So if anybody's out there and feeling quite low about stuff, then I would suggest stop watching the news because they
Yeah,
just fill you full of fear. It doesn't matter what's going on in the world. They always put the bad side of it, don't they? The fear side,
yeah.
definitely. That's
I
what
like
sells
that.
newspapers.
So sorry. Like I said, I have not done this before. I don't know when to.
That's okay.
I wanted to say, for example, we have a TV, but we don't quite. We're just watching YouTube and videos and Netflix and everything. So when I'm watching the news, I'm actually looking at the video on YouTube with the news. So I just like to skip whenever it's something bad or something.
Right. Yeah.
I
That's a
like to be informed, but I don't want to listen to all the drama because that, like, I know that affects me. So I will just like skip to something that's actually important when it comes to cases or some actual news. I will listen, but everything else for me is just noise.
well. Yeah, and I think you're right. And I think I don't know. We'll hear a bit about your story with MS, but certainly I do a lot of work with helping people with their mindset and keeping a positive mindset. And one of the easiest things to do is to avoid the news. I have to say.
Yeah, it's just much more of a positive life when you're just not watching the news.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and especially if you stick to one channel. I mean, we've got the BBC here, and it's very one-sided, and it only tells one side of the story anyway. And then you
Oh,
never, you're only getting the news as told by whoever's telling it. So,
yeah. Oh, I like watching the news in UK because I lived in UK until last year.
uh-huh,
Now I am in Spain. I like watching news here because, well, it's affecting me as I'm living in this country. And I also like watching the news from my country, where I'm originally from, which is Romania.
uh-huh.
I listen to three different stories, and the news I'm watching
Ah,
are on different broadcasts. And those channels want to say, like you said, their story, but their story so many times it's not actually true or more towards one side, and it's a weird show. It's totally chaos. And for me, from my perspective, living in this house, living in this neighborhood, looking outside the window, I can see the sun. I can see that everything is okay. I just like to laugh, to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah. That's a great way to keep in a nice space, definitely, isn't it? It's just to see the good in what's in everything around you. Like you say, if the sun's shining and the grass is growing and people are smiling, then that's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. You asked the question, and I don't remember. We just like escalated into other stuff.
Well, I can't remember what the question is either. So
Me
let's
neither.
let this is what happens with MS. Sometimes you forget what
Love
you're talking.
it.
Yes. So that brings us on to a whole other journey. So tell us a bit about your MS journey then, because you look very young to have
Thank
MS.
you.
And, yes. So when did you get diagnosed?
Oof. Okay, so right now I'm 25, but in a week I'll be 26. Hey,
Wow, you are very young. That's why you look very young.
I look young because I am young.
Yes.
And oh, DMS. Yeah, it has been diagnosed when I was 13.
Wow.
So, well, actually, I had my first symptoms when I was 13, but the actual diagnosis all the way through was when I was almost 14.
Right.
Yeah, or 14 actually, but I don't actually remember. I just know at 13 that I had my first relapse.
So
And
what did that feel like or look like to you?
well, in my first relapse, it was it was I had on my right eye, it just started to be more like a velvety type of view, like I saw the world through like I had some piece of material
Oh,
on
okay.
my
So
eye,
it's
so I could
yeah.
not actually see, and everything was shady and fadey. So that was neuritis. Actually,
Right.
I came to learn. Um, but it started easily, but progressed quite fast when it started to be like more shady. And I was 13. I didn't know what that was, but I was already wearing glasses. So when I had my prescription done when I was 11 of my glasses, and I kind of remember seeing shady at that time too, but it was mostly with my left eye. And now it was my right eye, and I'm like, oh well, the other one is gone. You know what I mean? Um, but it started to get just worse and worse, and I could not even read anymore, nothing. Not even when we went to the doctor, the ophthalmologist actually like gave me that eye chart, and it was a K as big as my palm, like
Oh no.
huge, right in front of me, and I could not see it. I thought my mother would faint, and my mother was pregnant at that time, and I was like,
Oh
oh
no.
no, I don't want to. Come on. And in the class, I couldn't read at the table, and I was at the front center seat,
Oh
and I could not
no.
read it, or I could not even. We had an exam, and I could not read on the test paper. I could not actually answer anything because I could not read it. So my during math, I will not forget, because she was my personal tutor, the math teacher, and she was like, you know what, come sit next to me at the at her
I'll
bench.
read
And
it
I
for
was
you.
like, oh, this is bad, because everyone was in the class, and I went to her for her to read it to me. And of course, I was 13. I did not know what was happening. Can you imagine the other kids? They're like, what is wrong with her? Why is she going to see the
Yeah.
teacher so she can read test paper for her? It was embarrassing, but funny now to think of it. But yeah, then I went to the doctor, and I had that whole eye chart issue, because then the ophthalmologist was like, yeah, we need to admit you to the hospital.
Yeah, there's something else. There's something else.
Yes, and I was, but honestly, another funny story, which I actually mentioned in a video that I made, it was that at that moment, when she said to be admitted to the hospital, in that weekend, I was 13. In that weekend, I said that I will go to my best friend's house, and I was so angry. I didn't want to go to the hospital. I wanted to go to my best friend's house to have fun, to play, to roller skate.
Yes, I can understand that.
It was, oh Jesus. Um, yeah. So she was like, "Okay, we can admit you later if you get an eye injection." It's actually, I don't know what the substance was. I don't know. I'm not a medical student or anything. I haven't
Yeah.
done medicine. Um, but after that, of course, my eye was better, but not completely, but better enough to actually see where I'm going with the roller skates. So I was
Good.
like, yeah, sure. I don't even remember the eye injection. I'm just so happy that I was at my best friend's house. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
It was crazy. But yeah,
So-
afterwards I was admitted, and they done all the tests, and they didn't find anything, and they're like, you're fine, just go home.
yeah, well that's what
Like,
happens a lot, doesn't it, with
yeah,
people with these type of
it
conditions.
does. It does. It's frustrating, because you're like they're doing a blood test. Oh, you're healthy. Then they're doing a EKG. Oh, you're healthy. They're doing all the tests and like you have nothing. You're
Yeah.
just a normal person. Well, thank you for making me stay 2 weeks in the hospital and
And give me nothing.
yeah, basically. But then I was okay, so nothing
Yeah.
happened a while.
So
To be
so so, so
continued.
now I know that was like, yeah, that was a relapse, wasn't it? An episode that you were
Yeah, it was the first one. That's
experiencing.
how we debuted. But I didn't know. But
Yeah.
some people did, but I didn't know, basically.
So so when you say some people did, what your parents had known or something?
Well, my mother at that time she was learning. She was in the school to become a nurse, and she kind of had a hinge that it was
Right.
MS.
Oh,
And my
okay.
doctor, my ophthalmologist, had the hinge, but they wanted to make sure. And because the test did not show anything, then they were like, "Oh, okay, we'll let it be at the moment. Because
Yeah.
what else can you do?" I was good. I regained my eyesight after I've done prednisone with without eating salt, which was frustrating.
Sorry, what was that?
After I've done in the hospital, I've done prednisone,
Which
and
is
that is medicine for MS, a medicine when you're in the relapse. It's to
right.
actually
It's like a
prevent
steroid.
the relapse. Yeah, it is. It is a corticosteroid, but it is in pills form.
Right.
And when taking prednisone, at least in Romania, because I have had corticosteroids in UK as well, but I have not been told to have a no salt diet. But with prednisone, I have been, and it has been a pain.
Oh,
A
yeah,
month and a
non-salt.
half, yeah, month and a half without salt, especially at 13, and I loved my in UK crisps. It was it was so hard, and
But
I
you did
had
it.
to do it many times after. But yeah, I had to.
But does,
But then I
does,
was
does
okay.
the salt meant to affect the steroid then?
So it's not necessarily that it's affecting the steroid as much as you retain more water than usually. That
Ah,
was the problem because of prednisone, and especially if you have salt, salt retains water, but with prednisone, it affects it even more to retain water. And this is why when having prednisone and you're eating normally, you become like puffy. You have a puffy face,
oh,
puffy skin because you retain more water.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I had that. Especially, I did prednisone. I tried to avoid salt as much as possible, yet I still gained weight. It was
Right.
so annoying because when not eating salt, you just don't feel full like ever. So you just keep eating, and also anything that has salt, like you just retain the water.
Ah,
By
interesting.
what I have experienced, not necessarily that that's a fact, but
Well, this
it
is it.
worked.
This has
That's how
been,
it was for me. Yeah,
yeah,
it is
absolutely.
what
Well,
it
that's
is.
interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah,
And
I don't know if I actually like enjoyed sharing it because it was a pain, but yeah, sure,
yeah,
go for it.
well, this is it. And the thing is, it's until you know, you don't know. And also to recognize that actually, you're not puffy now. So it is a short term thing. And if it and if it helped your symptom and helped you to see, then
Yeah, it's
to
puffy
get on with
then
life.
until you have the prednisone. That's when you're puffy. After you finish the prednisone, like 24 hours after, try but still to avoid salt.
Hmm.
But after that, you can just have it as normally. And with the prednisone in the month that I was prescribed, it was at first, like in the first week, I had to take like 12 pills a day,
Oh my
like at
goodness.
once. But they're really, really tiny, really, really small. So it doesn't matter.
Uh,
It was funny because at school I had the I had the medicine, and I was 13, 14, and kids were like, "What the hell are you doing?" Because I had all the pills. It looked like
yeah,
what was I
you're doing
doing?
an overdose or something.
Yeah, and they're like, "No, no, this is normal." Yeah, it was funny, but then it just gets less and less. Then you have to take 11, then 10, then
Cool.
so on and so forth until 1.
So what led to the actual diagnosis then, a year or so later?
I had an MRI
Right.
finally.
Okay.
They say that I should have done it the year before when I was actually debuted, but stuff
Yeah.
happened. I don't know, but I just had it the next year. And before I had the MRI, So when I was 13, I had that relapse episode when it debuted.
Hmm.
Then months after, I was perfectly normal. No problem. I was playing, I was having
Yeah,
fun, I was
yeah, just
whatever.
carry on. Yeah.
But in November, I started to have I say my first actual relapse, because the other one was my debut. And this was my actual first relapse, when the whole right side of my body started to go numb. And it
Right,
started like very, very small, with just the right side of my tongue. When I ate, I was like, I don't know
right.
what I was eating. Maybe it was because of that, but it just kept going and going, and it
And
was
then
then my
spreading and
face,
spreading.
yeah, spreading to my arm, then my leg, and I was like, oh, this has never happened before. I don't know what this is, and no one knew. It just like shrugged and like, just it will go, it will pass. Just
Yeah,
deal with
great.
it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Then I was like, it will go, or I don't even remember anymore. I don't know if I was like, it will go at one point, or that like, oh, this is my life now. This is how I will live from now on. It will be
yeah.
my right side will be completely numb. But at the same time, because I was a kid, I like to make fun of it, because as I could not feel, I just like was like, pinch myself. I cannot feel it. Pinch as hard as you
So,
can, and
so,
I will not
so
feel
you've
anything.
now got a party trick that you can bring along to.
Yeah, well, kids, what can you do?
And,
Yeah, it was
and
like that.
I'm loving your sort of sense of play with it, and and it is probably getting that type of thing when you're younger. You don't get that. Oh my god, this is awful. It's more of let's see where we can have fun with this.
Kids.
Yeah,
Exactly. What can you do?
yeah,
Like, this is a party trick, and I used
yeah.
it for everyone. Whenever I will get numb, I'm like, oh my god, pinch myself. I will not feel like look me
So
in the
did you
eye.
end
I
up
will
with
not go blink.
bruises all over you though? Because
Sorry.
did you end up with bruises all over you where you've been pinched?
No, I have a tough skin. I did not
Very
get
good, very
bruised.
good.
That was
Brilliant.
funny.
So how do you remember how you felt when you actually got the diagnosis of MS then? Did you know what it was?
No, I didn't know what it was. I know when I so I've done the MRI, and then it took a while to actually take the results, like a week, 2 weeks, I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, probably more than
And they
that. Yeah.
said it's a mess, but my mother was like, okay, let's sit down at the table. Like,
Right. So
okay.
she knew what it was.
Yeah, so she has been told, she's like, okay, so you have MS. But of course, at 14, I'm like, huh? What is that?
Yeah.
Why, how will that affect my life? And I have been given this thing that it's an incurable disease. You will have it your whole life. My main problem, it was not that I had MS, as much as after I have been diagnosed, we went to the doctor and got supplements. I got coenzyme Q10. That's a mouthful. And omega 3 and 6, and I had to just like take like 40 days coenzyme Q10, then the next 40 days coenzyme um omega 3 and omega 6 in fish oil. So I just had to like interchange them, because they say that it just works better. And that was my main issue. Not necessarily MS, as much as I have to take a pill every day for the
Yeah.
rest of my life.
Which is
Oh my
not good.
god.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was funny. It was completely funny. And then from then on, like, it took until I was 18 to actually get on interferon. And
Right.
until
Okay.
18, so from 13, 14, let's say, until 18, for 4 years, to just take those supplements. And I was a kid, I was outside, I was having fun, and
And
then
life is
come
going on.
home. Yeah, and then like I was like, oh, I have to go home to take my pills. And so many times I forget, and like, oh my god, I didn't take my pill for one day. What will happen to me? It's
Yeah.
nothing,
Yeah.
you know. it
Yeah.
was it was funny. I mean, you just live with whatever you have and just make it fun. And I also forgot to mention, when my MS debuted, before my MS debuted, it will sound
So when you
really
say debut,
stupid.
debuted, I don't know how I'd pronounce it in English actually.
I don't think I
So that
pronounced it correctly.
no, debuted. I think you probably are, but yeah, debut.
It just
If you
started when
debut,
my MS
it's
started.
your first bit. Yes,
Yeah,
we know English really.
we're going there. It's just this. It was like normal life, and then poof, I did not see it.
Yeah,
It just
yeah,
That's what happened. So before that, I was looking. I always like Asian dramas and this kind of stuff. Oh, kids. And I just looked at a Japanese dorama with a girl that actually had no, now it doesn't come to my mind. I have that thing that you have that word
Yeah.
on your
So
when you're
it's
talking.
not MS. So not MS. She
Not
had a
MS, but she had a different type of neurological problem.
right, not
And
Parkinson's, maybe.
no, not Parkinson's, but she also had the motor degenerative disease,
Right. Okay.
neurodegenerative disease as
So
well. So she
motor
just went,
neurons or something.
yeah, so she just went from being all normal until in 10 years she actually ended up being in a wheelchair and then unfortunately dying. But I watched that one, and a week later, this whole thing happened with my eye. And
Oh,
I know. And I was a kid and I was like, oh my God, I just watched that one and now I have it. And like, I feel so special because I also have what she had in that
that
show.
drama.
It's, kids, like this was the thing I was thinking, because I was just associating myself with that. But as well, it was kind of ironic. So it was,
Yeah.
it was funny.
So you don't remember being scared at all?
Yeah, no, not quite. Not it didn't just like now, like I said with the whole COVID situation, like it
It's
doesn't
just
actually affect me personally. So if it doesn't affect me, I still wake up the same. I feel the same. Sometimes I feel low, sometimes I feel good, but
but then that's life anyway, isn't it? You
yeah,
know, we can't all go around on the ceiling, and whether you've
exactly.
got MS or whether you've got any, and the research that I've done as well, and I think the figures are quite liberal, but they reckon that like nowadays, by the time we reach 50, you've got 1 in 8 chance of having an autoimmune condition of some kind, and I think it's probably more than that because the figures are quite hard to come by. So it's definitely more prevalent out there, and people are having to live with weird and wonderful symptoms and these conditions. So how is it affecting you now then? Is
Um, right now so right now it doesn't affect me. Like
nice?
most of the time it doesn't. But if I walk too much, then I just feel my left leg starting to be like very, very hard to move and
Mm-hmm.
I walk funny. So I just know I have to sit down, but I find it so interesting that I sit down for a minute and I can walk completely
Okay, yeah.
normal, like nothing happened. It's just funny because I'm like, sometimes I'm telling my partner, okay, so we have to make like a short for either social or YouTube, and I'm like, I have to actually present some cases sometimes in which I actually walk abnormal, and we're walking, we're going to the mall, and we're walking a lot because we're shopping, and of course I start to walk funny, and I'm like, oh my God. Then when we get home, you feel me going towards you, how I'm actually walking. But by the time we get home, because we're going by car, by the time we get home, I walk
It's okay,
normally.
yeah.
So I'm like, oh, it didn't
Well,
go.
and I think it's a really good idea to do that as well, because as things progress, and this has certainly been my experience, you forget what you were like, and you remember that you didn't walk very well, but actually videoing it really shows that actually how bad is it? It feels really clunky to me, but does it look that clunky outside? So I think if you can have an opportunity to video yourself at periods throughout, as things progress as you get older, basically, then I think that will be a really good, even just have for yourself to go back and say, oh yeah, that's changed, that's improved, that's got worse, whatever it is. It just is a helpful thing
Exactly.
to do. Yeah, I've got a
But
couple of videos, but they're lost in my video bank of videos.
with yourself going
Yeah,
through this?
yeah. I've done a couple of videos for that reason, and then but I'm not very good at filing, shall I say? So
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
it is.
So
You should
so
start a YouTube channel. We should collab.
well, yeah. Well, I have got a bit of a YouTube channel actually. I've got some stuff. So
Hey.
this will be going onto YouTube. This recording will be going onto YouTube. Um, what I've got to do, or what I would like to do, is make it a bit more of a, get it out there a little bit more, because I do think this type of talk is necessary. So that brings me on to, what inspired you then to start talking about going on to YouTube? Tell us about your channel. What's it called, and what do you talk about?
My channel is I just started it, like it was last year. I always wanted to do YouTube, like everyone has this idea at one point, like, oh, I should do YouTube, but what should I talk about? And I didn't know what to talk about, because I didn't feel necessarily that comfortable about talking didn't feel comfortable talking about MS. But at the end of the day, that's my story. But it took a while to actually realize that and actually feel it, like I shouldn't feel ashamed in talking about what I have gone through and how I actually manage it. And if other people don't like it, well,
They don't have to watch.
they don't have to watch, and it's their story is their story, and my story is mine. I should not feel bad about how I manage it. If I'm positive in sometimes, or if I'm doing fun impressions in other times, or sometimes I'm actually like sad about what's happening, but it's my story. If you want to listen, okay, and if not, well, leave. What can
Yeah.
I say, you know? But yeah, my problem, just like you said, there are so few people talking about this. Whenever you look for MS online, it's online on YouTube, you find people talking like scientists or doctors or scientific some sort of material, but
Mm-hmm.
actual people speaking about their disorder and their story, there are a few, but they have like a video talking about everything and then they kind of move on. I want to talk like as much as I can, with as many videos as I can, with through what I have experienced. Like in one video, I say about my MS debut, or
Mm-hmm.
the start of my
Yes. No,
MS,
yeah.
or just how does it work when I feel sad about it. Some answering of the I'm looking at on Google what people look when they're searching MS. They're looking for symptoms, or they're looking for treatments, or how to cure it. And I answer to that as well, like from my perspective, of course. But everything, the idea is that everything is from my perspective, because
Yeah.
that's very rare, as I see so far. Not necessarily, I don't know the whole YouTube. I just by what I've seen, and I want to actually say from my story, my eyes, how it actually went. And yeah, maybe it will actually end up something, maybe not. It's just very very new, very at the start. I don't know what's going to happen, but I just want to do it. I just want to talk about this. It's called In a Day, in together, like in a day.
In a
It's
day. Okay.
yeah,
In a
in a
day.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a pun that me and my partner came with, because like I say at the end of the videos, like, stay positive, life will be good. You just have to know how to do it, and everything will be good in a day. Something like this. I haven't done a video in a
So
day.
yeah,
I
so
forgot it already.
well, this is it, because I'm wanting to turn this into a podcast. At the moment, it's a broadcast. I'm putting it out there, but I want to turn it into a podcast. That needs a little beginning and a little end. So the beginning of every podcast, you
Yeah,
have, a little intro and a little outro, if you like. So
exactly.
I'm just and again, it's getting that language right. So what is it that that your videos, so your videos they're quite short, aren't they? They're only about 10 minutes long, something like that.
Oh,
The ones I've read.
maximum. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't want
And
it
it,
too long.
and I think from what, and I think I've only seen one of them, to be fair. So it is like a, but when I saw that, I was definitely called to reach out to you. And I just I love your energy, I love your positivity, and I just love the fun aspect that you bring into it. And I think so often, especially MS, it just feels such a heavy disease, doesn't it? It's like, oh my, when I say heavy, it's like, because my legs are literally heavy, because with it, it feels like, I call them my gravity pants. It feels like I'm wearing these big gravity pants and they're
Yeah,
sucking
yeah.
me down
It
into
is.
the earth. And that's sort of what it feels like. And but actually, I think you just lighten it up, which is lovely. And maybe it's having that like younger child perspective to it, which, at 50, I don't know if I've ever been that much of a child like that either. So it's great that you bring a bit of fun into it, and a bit of just, that it's a change of perspective, because we've all got stuff, whether we've got a long-term illness, or whether we've got we've broken a leg, or whether we're going through whatever we're going through. Everyone's got stuff, and it's how we deal with our stuff. It's that brings us to who we are, really. And I think it's great that you've started a YouTube channel, and it doesn't matter that it's only small and little, and it might grow to something and it might not. Just it's the fact that you're having fun with it, and it's caused this connection. And yeah, who knows, this time next year we might be on stages talking about this, and
Ooh.
on the I'm seeing myself, I'm seeing a healing vibration summit coming up, where we can invite
Ooh.
all people, all influencers or YouTubers or whoever we want to call ourselves, that just feel called to share their stuff, and change perspectives a little bit, because it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom, does it?
Oh, thank you so much for your words. It's weird to be very honest, because like I said, as I just started, I don't feel like anyone is seeing my videos, and I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? At least I'm
Yeah,
trying. But thank you so much for telling me this. It's very nice, and I really hope that you will remember me when you will have this show and
I will.
comments.
You are on my list. I need to start my
Hey,
list, because, as I said, I'm not very good at filing. But yes, you're on my
I'm
list.
important.
Yes, you are important, and you're doing good stuff. And it's everything starts from little, a little acorn. An oak tree grows. So we're all our little acorns that we've started planting out, and just to get this message out into the world. So how are you? Are you on any medication at the moment? How are you managing your MS currently?
Oh, this was a journey as well. Like I said, I was on those supplements until I was 18. Because in Romania, um, they said that I should have been 18 to actually get on interferon, and that's when I actually went on it. And I started with Rebif, so I had injections like 3 times a week, and I had to step myself
Wow,
because
yeah,
that's how it is. You know it very well. You know it
yeah,
better than me.
yeah.
Um, and that's what I have been on until I went to UK. But on Rebif, it was kind of hard because I had all the side effects in the book. I
Oh,
had nausea, I had muscle weakness, I had short-term depression. I would wake up and just start sobbing, and my mother would come at me. She would sleep with me, and the next morning I was like, oh, "Okay, I'm good." It's so weird. It's where does that come from? You know what I mean? But that's
yeah,
because of the medication. And I had bruises all over wherever I was
stabbing
injecting. I had
yourself.
it, and it was so annoying because, of course, I was going to the beach, and then I looked like I have been beaten up. No, no, no! I beat myself. No, I didn't
Yeah,
beat myself. You know
that's
what
even
I mean?
worse. Yeah.
Yeah, it's annoying. But yeah, I was on that until I went to UK, and then in UK I went to the doctors, and they've put me on Plegridy, which is like Avonex. It's
Mhm.
still an interferon, but a different type.
Yeah,
And that one was only once every 2 weeks, which I was like, yes, I only have to do
that's
it once
better.
every
That's
2 weeks. That's
better.
amazing. And even the device was so beautiful, so aesthetic, because it already had the injection. It was just looking very pleasing, because with the rebif I had only injections, and I had to
Right.
go somewhere else to actually have my device to inject myself, and I always had to put the injection in. But with this one, it was the device
Just
with
a
the
pen, was
injection
it?
already. Yeah,
Yeah.
so helpful. But it also gave me so many side effects, and they were for a longer term than Rebif. Even though Rebif I was having 3 times a week, but with the Plagredy it was once every 2 weeks, but it was intense. It was
Right.
very intense. I had the shivers. It was 30 degrees outside, and we have um a warm blanket, an electric blanket
Oh
that
yeah.
we were plugging in because I was shivering.
Oh no.
It was
Crazy.
insane. Yeah. So I just went out of it, and I still had like many relapses. So with Rebif, with Plegridy, I was still on so many relapses. It didn't actually work as much.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, we have to put you on something stronger. What do you think of oral medicine? I didn't quite trust it because I was young. and I was not necessarily like looking that much into it, but I just remember
You've got to remember
get
to take it,
something.
haven't you?
No, but it's just that I was thinking, stupid as I was, because like something orally is not that powerful as when you're injecting something. I had this
Right, okay. So
misconception,
your mindset,
whatever.
yeah, yeah, I can
Yeah,
understand that. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not very proud of that, but that was my story. I wasn't the very bright, so what can you do? Not that I am now.
Well,
Um,
you find out the stuff as you go
yeah,
through. So did you end up taking the pills or not?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, and that was the best thing that I could ever do because I'm still on it. I have been prescribed Gilenia. The name of the brand is Gilenia, but it's
Yeah.
fingolimod, and it's amazing. You don't have any side effects. It's very little relapses. Actually, I had yeah, very little relapses. Only when I was in uni, I had a few, and at one point, I had a huge relapse, but that's because I didn't have my medicine for like 6 months,
Right.
and the stressful situation that I was in. But that's not important.
Yeah.
But otherwise, this medicine is
It's working for
amazing.
you.
Exactly. Like since I had that relapse, which was in 2018, and I actually ended up paralyzed.
Oh wow.
Um, but since then, nothing. Oof, nothing. It's like I don't have MS. Only when I'm actually walking a lot, that's
Yeah.
when I remember. Oh wait, I do. I do have MS. It's annoying. Or when I'm just like typing things, and you know how like your brain
Yeah.
goes in
Sometimes.
between, and it's
Yeah.
just funny. It's just funny MS. It's
Yeah.
just like funny with MS. That's it.
Well, I think it's like when I was when I first got diagnosed and I was looking, at what it was and all the cognitive things, when you walk into a room and you can't remember what you've walked in there for. And
Yeah.
I remember telling some friends that, and they were like, I think we've all got MS then, because that's sort of, I think everybody, does that, especially when we've got really busy lives. And I was talking to a client yesterday actually, because she was having real problems with her cognitive stuff. And it's like, well, our lives are really busy, and if we don't take time to slow them down and to take stock, then we are going to forget things. It's just because our brains are not wired for doing so many things at the same time as we now force ourselves to do, with all the technology that's going on, the fact that we can be connected all the time to everything, that's information overload going on. And I think, well, yeah, I think there's my personal experience is that we don't take enough time for ourselves. And that's, for me, I think that's probably the root cause of a lot of illnesses, of people not just making themselves priority in our world.
Yeah,
So how are you on
definitely.
your priority states? Are you pretty good at looking after yourself?
Um, First of all, you were saying about the thing with forgetting, and I I could not just stop and think about it because of course I'm exactly like that. And it's funny because sometimes I'm talking, I'm saying a phrase, maybe I've said it already or something like this. Um, Saying a phrase and I forget like halfway through what I wanted to say. And it's just every time I start laughing, I'm like, I know I just wanted to say it. But it just poof, it
It's
went
just
away. And
it's just
it's just
gone.
funny because my partner is like, you're like a goldfish. You just forget like in the next second. I'm like, but I'm the best goldfish you will ever find.
I love
It's
that.
just
I love the eternal, because I was saying exactly the same thing to my client. I said, because it's when that happens, if you then get frustrated with yourself and angry with yourself, and you're almost beating yourself up for forgetting it, and then that's not going to help the situation. So actually having a bit of a
exactly.
laugh with it and being able to actually, and who doesn't do that? And I'm sure
Exactly.
just it's not just people with MS. I think it's, if anybody else is there listening who hasn't got MS, who forgets what they're going to say, or a word, eludes you, doesn't it? It's like, what's that word? What's that word? And I can't think what it is. And you sort of have to talk around it until it eventually comes back to you, or somebody else remembers for you, which is quite handy.
Yeah, or if not, it's just whatever. Just move on. Just
Yeah.
continue. It is annoying, and it was for a long time because I wasn't always like this. I told you how I was when I was a kid, but of course I ended up being a teenager and all the hormones and all this stuff and bits and pieces. And of course I was like, oh my god, but I have a mess and I will never find someone, or this will say my way of doing so many things, of actually going to a good uni, of actually having a good job, or all all the reasons. But through all these reasons, I managed to actually do all of them and even more. And like, I'm still me. I still have MS. It didn't go away. So I just know that not necessarily that it will get better. To answer your question before on how I am dealing with myself, how I'm prioritizing myself, it's realizing that MS it's not me. Like, I have MS, but that doesn't define me. MS doesn't define me. Nothing that's around me defines me. Only me and how I am. Not the person defines me, or my job defines me, or MS defines me. It's just like you said, when you prioritize yourself and when you put yourself on the first place, then everything falls through. Everything
Yeah.
falls into place. It's I like watching. I don't know if you've heard of Dave Ramsey show.
Dave
It's
Ramsey show.
American, yeah, American radio show. He is amazing, and I very much love his ideologies. And at one point in one episode, he said, like, never forget that you are your full-time job. Like,
Mm,
everything else doesn't quite compute. Like, you have already a full-time job taking care of
yeah.
yourself. So don't care about whatever anyone else says, or don't put anyone else on the first place, because you already have a full-time job, honey. Just take care of yourself. That kind of thing. I'm like, yes, I
Yeah.
have my full-time.
Yeah, yeah, I like that, because that is so true. And I think, you know, we're not taught as a society to put ourselves first. We're not taught to listen to our bodies. We're not taught to trust that actually maybe we've got some answers inside of us that can, that could work through this. Um, so we have to sort of teach ourselves that. And I certainly, when I talk about MS being a gift, and it is an unwanted gift. I don't want it, of course. I want life to be easy, and it does make it more difficult. But when I think about what it's given me and how it's changed the way I see the world, and I think that's the gift of it, and the fact that I'm now doing something totally different. I look back to when I had when I was, when I was diagnosed, and when I had my major relapse, which sort of shifted everything for me. I was on the wrong path. I wasn't a happy bunny, basically. I look back to that place and I really wasn't a happy place. And sometimes we have to go through shit, don't we? In order to, I know,
But
sorry.
yeah,
Yeah, but
but
yeah,
yeah, no, you're right. You're completely right. Because
yeah,
otherwise, how can you learn? Because
yeah.
if everything is perfect and honey and everything's nice, you, you're not living. Life
Well,
is with
no,
everything, you know?
yeah. I love that, and I love the fact that, and when something does come along that's unwanted, if you like, that is a learning opportunity. Somewhere wrapped up in that unwanted gift is, a big fat learning that you can take from it, and you can spread your wings and go from. So it's it is a gift, and if we're able to start seeing it as that, even when things come along and they're super unwanted, if you can learn to change your attitude quickly, so we're not stuck in that place of it's not fair and I feel really bad,
Yeah,
because that's not to say that sometimes, we don't want to be a little victim and sitting there feeling sorry for ourselves, and it's okay, but we just don't want to be there for very long, because it doesn't help us move forward. It
exactly.
doesn't.
Like, that's what, just like Kelly Clarkson said, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah,
You just have
absolutely.
to push through it. And like you said, if you didn't have this gift, you wouldn't have been doing what you're doing now. Just like me with you, with YouTube, it's just at the beginning, but it's still
But
something.
it's
Uh,
a, it's a start of something, and also whether it develops into a massive great YouTube channel, or becomes a TV film, or it becomes nothing. It doesn't matter, because no, that's not going to happen,
yeah.
is it?
Oh
Sorry.
no,
No.
I would love to do that, because like I told you, I saw that show before I actually debuted my MS. If I would do a show like that, I'm like, oh my god, now everything is a circle. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because that's
yeah,
how it started and that's how it ended up. I don't know. It's just I think it's funny, but that would be awesome.
yeah.
Amazing. But like you said, with that this gift is something hard that actually pushes you to actually go through this, to don't be a victim about it. It's see what I mean? I just started
Yeah.
the sentence
Yeah.
and
So
forget it.
I do know what you mean. So
Oh, it was
so
such a good idea.
it's not being a victim, and I think it's also about taking responsibility for yourself. And that's a toughie as well, because it feels like this thing's happened to me and there's nothing. And again, I was told by my doctor there's nothing that I could do about it. And I've got this thing, it's incurable, it's probably going to get worse, and there's nothing that you can do
Oh,
about it.
wow, beautiful.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I heard my whole life. It's gonna get worse. When I came to UK, I came for uni. And I have been told, "Oh my God, you're gonna go to UK. You will not have anyone from your family. It will get worse. You will end up in a wheelchair. You will blah 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 blah
Oh
blah."
my God.
It's just not fair, especially for a kid that wants to spread the wings and just
Yeah,
visit
absolutely.
life
So
and
when I
everything. And
talk
then
about that dose of fear being given to you and
yeah,
what happens in our bodies when it's in fear. So if you'd taken that fear and really worn it, which you could have done, that would have been it. You wouldn't have done anything. We wouldn't be
yeah,
sitting here talking now. You probably would be disabled, sitting in the back room of your mum's apartment or wherever your mum lives or whatever, and not
exactly,
doing all the stuff. So you've really got to, I think, look inwards when you're delivered a diagnosis, and not necessarily, it's not like taking it as as an untruth, but actually creating your truth out of it,
exactly.
because
That
it's
that is my point.
yeah, everybody's journey, like you say, is different. You speak to 1,000 people with MS and everyone's got slightly different symptoms. Everyone's got deals with it different way. Everyone's on
Of
different
course,
meds or not on meds or whatever. It's and the people that are really living life are the ones that have chosen to actually, I'm gonna create my own world, and I'm gonna live life on my
exactly.
terms. And when it gets hard, it gets hard. I just work through it.
Exactly, like that's what I realized, especially going to UK. And in UK, I didn't even stay only in one place. I moved in 5 different cities. I lived there for six
Wow.
years. I moved in 5 different cities. I have loads of jobs. I had different jobs while I was at uni. During uni, I had two jobs. I went to uni, then I went to one, then I went to uni again, and then I went to another one. It was like that during the day. So I always wanted to do something, not just stay in one place. And then we moved to a different city, and it was chaos, but it was a good type of chaos, because
Yeah.
only when you're doing these type of things you're actually getting stronger. And then we wanted to move to Spain. We had everything settled in UK, everything went very good in UK, but we wanted more. We wanted to do more changes. And just because I have MS, that doesn't actually bring me down to actually start a new path. And if I want to move from Spain to somewhere else, I know I won't be afraid, because it's not my first rodeo. And I said to myself, I realized, only honestly last year, I realized that I like and I want to become comfortable in the uncomfortable,
Oh,
because that's the only way to do it. Because
yeah.
when you get yourself comfortable with the things that you don't know, and you want to gain more knowledge into them, then it's going to be better for your life. That's my perspective. That's what I have been through, and that's what keeps me going. Because if I just stay in one place, I won't be good. I will end up in a
You're
wheelchair.
stagnate. Yeah, and I love that, being comfortable in the uncomfortable, because that's something on, because I don't know if you've done any personal development work, but that's definitely a concept that comes up. And also recognizing that when we think things are hard, often they're not hard, they're just unfamiliar. We've not
Exactly.
done them before. So if we
Exactly.
can reframe how we say it, stop talking about life being hard. What is it really? It's not hard. It's only hard if we make it hard.
Yeah.
Even if you're in a wheelchair, that's only hard if you make it hard. You can make it fun. You can have a super duper wheelchair. You could get nice people to push you around.
Yeah.
I've met this guy in LinkedIn who's basically got no arms and legs, so he's in a wheelchair all the time. And he does this. He's part of this collaboration group where they're called Wheels and Wheelchairs, where they have able-bodied people who are on roller skates and rollerblades pushing people in wheelchairs racing. It's like, wow, how much fun is that? That's just so cool.
That
So,
is amazing.
yeah, there's fun to be had no matter what your situation. And if you're able to find the fun in it, I think, and find the joy in it, then it almost doesn't really matter what's going on because yeah, there'll be something else. And the fact that you go out looking for changes, I think is fantastic. So
Yeah, and especially don't say you can't, because there is no can't.
no,
I don't know where this quote is, but I love using it. It's whether you can't or you can, you're right.
yeah. So that's
Doesn't
that.
matter. It's just
I
everything
love
is
that.
in you.
That's my favorite quote. So it's Henry Ford. So
Henry Ford, there you go.
Henry Ford. That's it. The Henry Ford quote. Yeah,
It's
that's
just
really good.
everything is your in your mindset. Like
Yeah.
whether you want to do something or not, you will or not do it depending on how you're going to do it. But the thing is that everything that is around you, it's everything depends on you. Like you're the only variable that you can control.
Oh
It's just
yes.
how life
Oh, you've got
is.
some good stuff. Your YouTube channel's going places. I can tell you
Ah,
that. Yes.
oh, stop it. Not
Yeah.
really. I
Well,
because like I
yeah, it
said,
is
I
some real gems in there.
yeah, because I said I like listening to Dave Ramsey and this sort of people, this sort of people that speak to you in the way that you are not a victim and you can change everything that you can do, everything around you. Like I don't know. I just like okay, I don't read books. I'm okay, maybe because I'm young, but I feel like I'm wasting time reading books. I like listening to audiobooks while I'm doing something else.
Yes.
Maybe with time
So
I will
now
end up
now in this world of
liking.
multitasking, of course, reading is
Yeah,
like a very yeah,
that's how it is. But
yeah.
I love doing it like that, and I listen to loads of audiobooks because you were talking about like self-development. I love
Mhm.
listening to self-development books. I don't like listening only to books that don't don't correlate to me or looking at shows that don't do anything with me. I want to learn something from someone that I'm watching.
Yeah.
I want to look at empowerment sort of things. I want to see someone getting out of their comfort zone and doing something different.
I know it's so good, isn't
You
it?
know?
It's so good.
Yeah,
So
it
I
is
love
good.
the fact that you've introduced Dave Ramsey because I've never come across that one before. So we're talking about books. What's been your a good book that you might recommend to our listeners?
Uh, so many books. Uh, very good book that lately has been like everywhere is Atomic Habits on
Oh
learning
yes.
how to change your habits. Of course, everyone is speaking about it. Other books, which again has been known for quite a while, is Rich Dad Poor Dad. That is
I've not heard.
amazing.
What's that one?
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Yes, yes. I
Yes,
haven't
it
read
is.
it, but I have.
You
I
will
know
like
the
it if you
concept of
want to
it. Yeah,
read it. Is a good read. Is a good read to start in changing your mindset. And from
yeah.
that book on, it was a whole game shifter for me. And because you were talking about this person that doesn't have legs and arms, it just came to my mind reading Think and Grow Rich.
Oh yes, I've got that one
In
somewhere. So I've got to
yeah,
pull that one out because that's the like the original one, isn't it?
I don't know, to be
Yeah.
really honest. I don't know where the author is from. I just know this book,
No,
and
well,
it
that's
is
quite an old one. I think that's one of the foundations of the personal development movement, was the Think and Grow Rich one. So Napoleon Hill, isn't it?
I don't know authors. I know books. I don't know authors.
Oh, well,
Like
that's
I
good.
totally believe you, but I don't know authors.
Yeah.
I am awful at that. But I just remember from the first chapter because you were saying about this person. In the first chapter, he's speaking about his son who was born without ears, and he
Um,
raised his son without considering that he doesn't have ears. Not
yeah,
in a disconsiderable way. It's just like you can go past
not going to
this
stop
because
you.
yeah, he realized that I don't know how old his son was, like 1 or 2, but without ears, he pressed his head along speakers and started dancing because you have hearing
Vibrations.
bone, yeah,
Yeah,
vibrations and the hearing bone around this side. And he's like, okay, this can be used, you can use that in your life. And that actually ended up being amazing for his kid because he ended up growing into this and working in helping people that don't have hearing and working I think working in a company selling hearing aids, either his company or he was an assistant manager at the company. I don't remember exactly what,
yeah,
but he ended up being amazing in his life because of his disability.
yeah,
And that's what we should push to, not actually acting like a victim and, oh my God, I cannot do this. I can do this because I have that. or I
Well,
can do this in spite of having that.
yeah, and I love that, and I've come up with a lovely little analogy actually. So talk about, you know, when we have the symptoms of coming in of an illness coming in, and quite often we just try to ignore them. I mean, you get to a point you just want to ignore them until it becomes like an elephant in the room. You know, the idea of an elephant in the room, but
Yeah.
then the elephant's not just in the room; it's sitting on you. So you've got this elephant sitting on you. So then you can, you know, you can't ignore it anymore because you literally can't move. You can get angry with it and try and push it off, but that doesn't help because the elephant gets angry as well and doesn't like it. So what happens if we could actually learn to, you know, connect with our elephant and learn to even love our elephant? Maybe we can turn it around so we get to ride the elephant. We can have some fun with the elephant. So this is how I sort of play with the idea of, you know, illness and how we can change our relationship with our illness, because it doesn't have to be a bad thing. It's, you know, it might be something that you're now stuck with for the rest of your life, but if you can change your relationship with it, it might not feel like you're stuck with it. It might feel like actually you wouldn't want to be without it.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I. It's annoying to actually think of it like that, because like I wish I would not have MS.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's like I don't even know how to live without it. Like maybe it sounds hypocrite, but I kind of like having it because it makes me push even more.
yeah, yeah,
Because otherwise, I don't think I would have a reason. But now I have a reason because I have MS. I'm like, you think I will end up in a wheelchair? Watch me. You know
yeah,
what I mean? A bit of a sass, a bit of fun, but it's because of that. It
yeah.
it gives it gives me an extra reason.
An extra reason. And I can't believe we've come to the end of an hour, and it's been
Oh.
absolutely amazing talking to you. But you did say to me that you had a little, because I like to end with a little exercise or something. So you said you've got something that maybe you can share to our audience that you found helpful.
Honestly, it's actually everything that I was talking about, like listening to this type of books, watching only these sort of videos or shows in which it empowers you, and then thinking about everything that you have read, everything that you have listened to, everything that you have watched, and how to incorporate it in your life. And then sometimes I like to go look at myself in the mirror, which I used to hate when I was a kid because we're women and we have like, oh my god, my nose, my face, my everything. But now I grew up loving it, loving, like, look at my body. I'm standing straight, I'm looking confident, I'm looking comfortable, I like what I see, and I cannot change anything. I don't want to change anything. I'm happy with how I am, I'm happy with what I'm doing. And especially, like I said, with being comfortable in the uncomfortable, it goes even more towards you. Like, this is extremely self-empowering. I like to always try something new, just like with the YouTube channel. I'm trying with design. In my, for example, in my last video, all the cartoons were drawn by me. I want to
Wow.
end up maybe doing animation. I want to end up maybe doing web development. I want to end up doing whatever I want. And the only thing that is stopping me is me. I like having this type of conversations with myself in the mirror or with myself washing dishes, and it's just amazing. I don't need to listen to anything. Well, sometimes I listen to music, but even listening to music, sometimes I don't hear it. I'm just stuck in my head with this type
Yeah,
of, of words and this type of sentences, and it just makes me feel happier just washing dishes. You know what I mean? It's amazing. Whatever I do, I know that I'll be fine as long as I'm with me, you know.
wow,
And it
that's amazing. So at 25, 26, you know, you've learned to love yourself, and that
Yeah, it
is
wasn't easy. It was not easy at all. And it's not easy for anyone. I don't want anyone to think that I just grew up like this. It honestly, until last year maybe, I did not
right.
realize it
Okay.
takes a long time, but you have to focus and want to learn to meet yourself. Go in the mirror and say, "Hi, I'm Diana."
Yes.
Well, me. Hi, I'm Diana.
Yeah.
I like you. Let's meet up. Let's
With
speak.
that.
Let's talk it out. What up?
Because
You know?
actually, when I talk about the elephant, making friends with the elephant, it's not really an elephant, is it? It's yourself that you're making friends with. It feels like an elephant because it feels like something's been sort of dumped on you. But actually, the MS is just part of you. And if you can learn to live with it and learn to take the messages that it's trying to give you And I think that's beautiful, the fact that, you know, because I do mirror work as well, and it's just looking in the mirror and recognizing that actually, yeah, you're pretty cool, pretty hot, actually,
Yeah,
I'm doing not bad for
exactly. I
50.
wanted to say, you just said you're 50. I was like, what?
There you go.
You
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
look a
you're
day.
half my age. Oh my goodness.
Dude, wow. And I wanted to also say another thing still regarding this and bringing back Dave Ramsey. He always says something. He says, you're the problem, but guess what? You're also the solution. That's
Yeah,
what I keep having in my head as well. Like this sort of things, like whether you can or you can't, you're right. This sort of idiomas, or however they're called, words,
yeah.
you know.
What
It
this
just works. It empowers me just to think like that.
Yeah, and it is, and how you speak to yourself it massively makes a difference on how you feel in the world. It really does. So I think you've just, you know, you've got it nailed. You're listening to the right stuff. You're feeling the right way about things, but also recognizing that when you don't feel good, that's okay as well. And just what does that mean? What am I thinking about? Because there's always a thought that relates to a feeling, and if
Exactly.
we can work out, or so, and a lot of our thoughts, because they reckon, I don't know, 60,000 thoughts a day that we have, and 95% of those are on autopilot loops. They're just repeated again and again. So that's all
Exactly.
our subconscious stuff, our beliefs that, like, oh, I'm not good enough, this is going to get worse, life is hard, whatever little things that come up. And it's, if we can start reprogramming them and putting more, so if we're going to have a loop going on, it's an empowering loop. Hey, you're fabulous, life is great, life is easy, life is fun. Then, you know, reaffirming, that's where affirmations come from, isn't it, really?
Exactly.
Reaffirming
And
the good stuff.
this is how it helps. Like I said, with audiobooks, with everything that I look, because I'm not looking at news, what we talked in the start. I look at these type of things. So of course, my mind, when it's oh Jesus, when it's on autopilot, it just has this type of affirmations, not affirmations about what's happening with people on the other side of the
Yeah.
country. I don't care. I mean, I care. I'm sorry that it's happening to them, but what can I do? You know
Well,
what
this
I
is
can do?
it.
I can work on me. That's what I can do. So this is what actually helps me. This is how it goes. This is how I stay strong. And sometimes we feel down. Like I said, I don't necessarily feel always this good and everything, but just like when we were kids and we were in school, even today, it's not that you're learning while you're reading. It's you're learning when you're resting. So it doesn't matter that sometimes you feel low. Let yourself feel low, have a break, and then
Yes, and I
come
think
back again.
that's it, because
That's important.
and we'll just end on that because we have come to the end of it now. So yeah, so if you're feeling a bit low, exactly that, give yourself a break, allow yourself a little lie down. So sometimes even just think, you know, set a timer for 10 minutes and just sit and close your eyes and
Do
just
nothing, or
allow.
do whatever makes you happy, because if you don't feel happy or satisfied, why do it
Yeah,
you know but you will be strong, you will be fine, everything will be good. Just
absolutely.
relax and enjoy the
Especially
ride.
if you tap into Diana's YouTube channel, which is called All in a Day. In a Day. So look up In a Day, and I will get the link off her and put it underneath the in the comments
Thank
in
you.
this. So do go along and subscribe to her channel and subscribe to mine as well. And yeah, and get a bit uplifting. Get uplifted. Find that inner happiness, and you can do that by listening to people like us, I guess. So thank you for joining me, Diana.
Thank you very
And
much.